and the main part of it was their agriculture, like their farming. And there were like two main reasons as to why they were such good farmers. And the main one was the rivers that went through, and the Indus and the Ganges were the two main ones. And they went through and left like fertile soil for farming, which was really good. And they had monsoons, which was like a big storm that came like twice a year, dry monsoons and wet monsoons. And the wet one brought rain, and that left a lot of silt on top of the soil, so it was better for farming. And then I chose this picture because wheat was one of their main crops that they grew, so this is just an image with wheat. So again, the rivers were really important. So the main one was the Indus, like the Indus River Valley, and there was civilization formed like 5,000 years ago, and they were like the most sophisticated out of everybody in the ancient world, out of all civilizations. And another important river was the Ganges, and that started up in the Himalayas and flowed through all the way down into the Bay of Bengal. And it was one of the most fertile parts of India, which was really important. And its delta, like the beginning, covered 25% of all India's territory. And it wasn't important to India, but it was also sacred to Hinduism. And Hinduism said that whoever bathes in this river has like all their sins cleared, so purify them before they went to heaven. So yeah, they went on a journey to bathe in the river like once before they died, so they could go to heaven purified. And there were other rivers that were like essential to survival, so all of India was fertile and they could all farm. And that pretty much shows, that's what that picture is. You have all the rivers, and the main one was the Indus here, and the Ganges, which is also called the Ganges right there. So all the rivers and farming together led to like a surplus of food, so there was a high population of people because they had a lot of food and water from all the rivers. And the last thing is the caste system, which Dervin sort of went in on earlier. And it's like a social hierarchy, and it was very distinct. So the lowest ladder was the Sudra, and that was like commoners and peasants. And then the Vaishya, which was merchants and landowners. And then Kshatriya, kings and warriors. And then the highest one was the Brahmin. And they were priests because they had the closest tie with the gods, and scholars because they were really smart. And above everybody was gods, so they weren't really included in the caste system just because it was common sense to have them above everybody. And below them, below the whole caste system, was the untouchables, or outcasts, as Dervin said. And they were sort of like shunned by society, and nobody talked to them at all, and it was frowned upon to make contact with them. And in Hinduism, karma was the idea that if you lived your life in your respected tier to the fullest, then your next life when you're reborn, reincarnation, you might get bumped up to the next highest one. So if you're born as like a Sudra and you're like a really good person and do nice things for others, then next life maybe you could be a Vaishya. And that just kept everyone motivated, and that's what led to the success of India.